Well, great. No, you're right. You should control Manhattan because the shaman made you poop yourself. All right, great. Yeah, sign you up. You must be. Let's get you as the leader of some. Like, no, it meant nothing. It was just a monologue.
It's just a monologue. He has to have a motivation for what he's doing.
It was just.
And he did it through monologue.
Makes no difference. Hey, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about Mr. Robot, Season 4, Episode 7. 407. Damn it! Proxy authentication required. There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
It's like me and computer codes. I'm not good with it. So, again, it's just a computer error code. Although...
And Matt's least favorite episode.
I may have a controversial take here, because I'm reading, the Twitter sphere and stuff. People generally are really high on this episode. There are parts of this I admire, but man, I just don't like that character Vera, so I'm like, he's dead! Yay!
I don't think anybody's sad to see him die.
Now I get my show back! Yay! All right, so we'll talk about it. This is played out much like a live stage performance. It's done in 5 acts. It has like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. It is essentially it's in 2 rooms that are back to back. They're connected by a connecting wall. There are 6 people in this whole episode. 2 of them are minions, so they kind of don't count. I mean, they have some lines.
Yes,
but in terms of
they're part of the part of the play.
Part of the play. But your main characters are Vera, Elliott, Mr. Robot, and Krista.
Yes.
Also, there's no commercials. It was like commercial free, ding.
Like the one camera thing.
Right.
That wasn't really one camera.
This essentially is the culmination of Vera's plan.
Yes.
So before I talk about whether I approve of this or not, we'll say what happens. All right,
yeah, there's not a lot you could,
Right, it's kind of easy to sum up in a way. Vera has, kidnapped Krista, former therapist.
Yes.
Lured in and then kidnapped Elliott as well. Brought them in the same room.
Yes.
Basically threatens to bump off Krista and makes threats generally until he can try to break down Elliott. Just with the purpose in mind of having Elliott be the reason why he can take over Manhattan.
Yes.
I want to take over Manhattan. I can't do it unless I've got superpower hacker guy backing me up.
Right.
So how do I do that? In evil ways. So it leads to this therapy session, kind of a forced therapy session. Mr. Robot is very vehemently going, let's not do this. Stop.
Yep.
You're going somewhere where I can't protect you.
Right.
Elliott is now very interested. What do you mean? What's this all about? What do you know, Krista? What's going on? What do you know, Mr. Robot? And so we push and push and push. And eventually we learn that on that day when Elliott jumped out the window, broke his arm, he did so to get away from his dad because his dad had been molesting him. And it's obviously a big revelatory moment.
Yep.
Mr. Robot, we find out has been there for a while. Like he's like, I've been there ever since you needed me.
Right.
And so he's probably been in his, we thought maybe Mr. Robot had arrived after the broken arm incident, but I think it sounds like he might have even been around before then.
Right.
Like maybe when the molestations started, perhaps.
Right. Well, right.
Elliott is crushed, obviously devastated. He's finally, unblocked that memory. So now it's all flooding in.
Yes. Yeah, he kept saying he was my friend. It's like, he's your father.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
So, it probably part of the abuse is, utilizing, they're supposed to be really closer perhaps than other fathers and sons in how they were both into computers or whatever.
Well, I think eventually over time he just equated the personality of Mr. Robot with what his dad's personality was.
Oh,
is my thought. I mean, I could be wrong, but it sounds like he's
I think he was talking about
you're my dad, right?
I think he's talking about his father was his friend, though, because he was upset about what happened that day. What happened?
Well, right, but I'm saying I think he feels like Mr. Robot is kind of his friend as well.
Yeah.
But
at that moment, he wasn't questioning the friendship of Mr. Robot. He was questioning the friendship of his father.
I agree. I was just thinking that maybe what he's done is over time, he's gotten rid of the, oh, my dad was terrible, and he's just kind of replaced it with, obviously, Mr. Robot is an amalgam of my dad, so my dad must have been like Mr. Robot. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Perhaps. But you're right. Yeah, he's got this very imaginary version of his dad.
Yeah, because I feel like in the scenes we've seen of Slater as the father, that actually hasn't been very much like Mr. Robot at all. Mr. Robot's always very, I'm taking care of this problem, and I'm very confident or whatever.
Right.
But his father character wasn't
From season
like
3,
that.
we saw a scene where it's after the incident with the broken arm, we see the dad taking Elliott to the movies. And that's where he dies, actually.
Right.
Because he's trying to apologize. Please forgive me, and Elliott's like, nope.
I feel like there was another scene we saw, too.
I think you're right, but that's the one I remember.
Right, yeah.
So...
Oh, when he tells him not to tell in the car.
Yeah.
So don't tell that I'm dying.
Right.
Right, so that was another scene that we saw of him, too.
What we then have is Vera's trying to use this now broken shell of an Elliott to try to, now I'll bond with him and, empathize with him. And then in that moment, we'll be he'll see me as an indispensable friend, essentially.
Yes.
And then I can use him for his talents.
Yes.
But in the middle of that bonding, Krista, our therapist, steps up and...
Literally...
stabs him in the back. And he dies. And yay. No. Okay, but yeah. So, and he dies, and that is essentially, that's the end, right? I think that's the end of the episode.
Yes,
the
lights go out, and I think the last light is the Christmas tree.
We're still on Christmas Day.
Yes.
This is the longest day in the history of time.
Yes.
We know that the Deus group meeting is happening at 9 p.m. As you look outside that window with the Christmas tree, it's dark.
Yeah.
So the meeting has to be taking place within 2 hours at max.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're getting...
They're in New York.
Creeping up.
So it may have been around 5:30 maybe, or 5,
Okay. All right, can you be that early?
I feel like that, yeah.
That's true.
We get out at that time of night, and
yeah. Good point. All right, he may have 4 whole hours still. That's like 10 episodes. Anyway, Vera is... I like the fact that they did it in a play format. I like the fact that it was commercial free. I liked the little 5-act structure. I liked a lot of things about it.
So many things he liked.
I liked Rami Malek's performance of taking in this knowledge. I thought that was really cool.
Well, you might have preferred if he killed,
Sure. No, I would have preferred that, but I liked it.
The way that he didn't kill him for so long.
It's Vera that it's problematic to me. There's a couple of things about him that just don't work for me. One, he until this season, he was so inconsequential. The last time we really saw him, we saw him for 30 seconds at the very end, the last scene of season 3. But that was just to set the season up. They were just like, hey, remember this guy?
Yep.
You might have forgotten him because the only time he was around was in season 1. Season 1 is
for 4 episodes.
5 years old now, something like that. So
long time ago. Remind me, have you watched season 1 yet? Actually,
I've seen season 1. I watched it out of order, but I did end up watching season 1. But so this guy, he feels so inconsequential to the plot just moved on past him. Season 1 happened, great, it was important. Shayla was killed, and that was terrible in the moment. But we're way past that now. And for this guy just to come back and suddenly be like, oh, remember, I'm really important now. I felt like it was just the show going, no, he's important, damn it.
Well, he's important the same way he was important in the first season.
Yeah, well,
now
we've got the fate of the world at stake.
How important was...
There's a ticking clock.
How important was Elliott's neighbor, except to get him drugs?
Yeah.
How important was she and therefore, when her life was threatened, how important was
So are you
she?
making my point that he wasn't important even then? Or are you
Well,
saying-
it's like as important as he was back then.
Okay.
That's my point. And same, right? Because I mean, one of the things that they're basically doing is having some part of his life that's not associated with anything else that fucks him up. That's all. That's all they want. They just want some part of his life that's gonna fuck him up. That's in addition to whatever other parts of his life that are fucking
Yeah,
him too.
it's just, and I guess it's also in this thing of there's this plot that's very compelling, and you know, this show to me the most compelling characters in this show have always been Elliott, Mr. Robot, and White Rose. I mean, those are to me are like, oh wow, their storylines are interesting. How they interact is interesting, and so you're building to this moment. Oh my God, it's going to be the end of the series, and they're going to have this really cool moment where the three of them are probably squaring off in some way, and we keep getting these. God, these crappy obstacles. I get it. They're just like they're teasing you out.
That's right.
Oh, look, we were out in the woods and our car was stolen. Oh, your grandma died. You got to go to the funeral. Got to look through the stuff. Oh, look, so this is another. Oh, look, this guy who no one cares about is back on the scene. Oh, he wants to control Manhattan. Well, there's probably like thousands of gangsters that are like, I'd love to control Manhattan. Like, what makes him special? What makes this guy special,
That
honestly?
he knows-
can monologue. That's his specialty. Look, you want me to tell you a 10-minute story about my childhood? I'll do it. Here you go. Well, I got a baseball bat for Christmas. There was this bully. Sit down. It's going to take a while. Anyway, I hit that bully, but it wasn't trying to kill. God bless it. Stop with the monologues. I'll put it this way. The actor is good at the monologues. I assume that's why he got them. I'm sure Sam Espen was like, this guy's pretty good at monologues. Let's give him a bunch. I was like, stop. So anytime he started doing the thing where he was like sit in the chair and do some drugs, and then he'd be like, all right, let me monologue about something. There's a shaman. Did I tell you about the shaman? Because I didn't know what to do, but then the shaman told me I should take over Manhattan, so that's why I came, and now I'm doing everything. Like, who cares? Oh my God! What are you, the chosen one? You know, the shaman. I have to listen to. Obviously, he knew exactly what to do. He'd read the scripts for the show, so that's why I'm here. I don't know. It's just like all that he was saying about shamans and stuff. If I was in Elliott's position, I'd be like, "You're just crazy and you're an idiot. When can I leave? I'm just waiting to leave as soon as I get the chance." Like, it was just dumb. Like, who? It meant nothing. It just it meant something to him, I guess, to Vera, but to no one else. He just came off as an idiot. It's like, oh, well, that's proof. Well, great. No, you're right. You should control Manhattan because the shaman made you poop yourself. All right, great. Yeah, sign you up. You must be. Let's get you as the leader of some organ. Like, no, it meant nothing. It was just a monologue.
It's just a monologue. He has to have a motivation for what he's doing.
It was just.
And he did it through
He
monologue.
makes no difference. It's just like, oh, this guy, he's not special at all. It was just like, what makes this guy, he was this close to being the king of Manhattan. If only he'd have convinced Elliott. Like, no, he was just a dumbass. Anyway. So then the part that bothers me is this forced therapy session.
Yes.
I'm not an expert on therapy sessions,
Okay.
but I'm going to guess they're not that effective when someone's holding a gun to your head and like, go be therapeutic.
Right.
Do it. Talk to that guy. Ask him the right questions. Sorry, asking questions. Those aren't the right questions. Ask different questions. Like, come on. That's not the way this works. There was no way. I don't think
that it works?
I don't think there's any way
No, that's
that
not
someone
how
would have an
typically-
honest moment. Because I think the idea is you're finding these honest moments. Like you're honestly evaluating yourself, your past, perhaps, the people in your life. And for you to be in that moment where you're like, oh, if I don't say the right thing, he's going to shoot her and probably me at some point. You wouldn't then have this really cathartic thing of like, oh wow, my dad molested me. I just don't see. It doesn't feel genuine. It feels like we need to finish this in this hour. How do we get to this point where they're having this really emotionally charged moment? I know. I have a guy point a gun at the therapist's head. And then suddenly, breakthrough. He'd been at that therapist for years, maybe? I don't know how long he'd been needing that therapist. No breakthrough. Oh, but you know what did it? Psychopath with a gun going, make progress. Oh, look, I'm fine now. I don't know. It just it felt
Okay, here's the thing.
And forced,
I
didn't buy it.
I could see your frustration.
Okay.
They all can.
Okay, sorry. And scene. We're back. Anyway,
I mean, one of the things that
discussion.
occurs to me in contrast to what you're saying is dramatic license.
Sure.
Now, one thing that occurs that we've only within the last maybe 10 years had as a focus is something that criticizes something that existed in movies and TV shows for the longest time that we accept as rote, which is torture. Torture works if you see all these TV shows and movies and
Right.
stuff like that. But really, when you force somebody, if they don't know what you're talking about, and most of the time the person who's trying to get information doesn't know, then the person will lie
Yep.
and make things up to stop the pain.
Right. Or just
So
to, right,
now,
to,
in
to
your
put this person
defense,
off.
if Elliott might feel like, wow, I want to save Krista's life.
Yep.
Maybe I'll lie
Yep.
about something that happened, so he'll feel like, oh, that's good.
Yes.
Now, a difference between that situation that I just described and this one is, Elliott wants the answer, and Krista doesn't want to help him.
I hear
So
that.
he benefits from having a gun in the room.
But that's the thing is like, it seems awfully odd that Elliott would be like, oh yeah, this situation is terrible and people's lives are at stake. But wait, there was information that you aren't telling me? Let's find this out now.
But you don't think that throughout this show there've been times when it's like, you probably shouldn't do this, but I want to do this right now.
I'm just, it feels
So
like
here's a
that's not thing
situation
that
where
would
here's a
happen.
chance.
I know, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I don't buy in that moment that he's like, yeah, that guy with the gun has a point. Tell me more about your thoughts on my therapy sessions.
Because he's finding out things that he wanted to know that she was keeping from him?
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. Oh, that's interesting. Note to self: when we get out of this, I'll come look you up, and we can have a therapy session. Not in this moment. This guy is gonna shoot one of us.
When now he doesn't trust her, and now he's angry at her because she hasn't told him. Like she knew this a long time ago, hadn't told him. The reason why she hadn't told him.
Therapist for one thing.
Yeah.
The therapists keep notes and they don't share it with you. That's
right,
not
exactly.
that
So now
uncommon.
that is true. But then they don't share it with you. And because,
So you're saying, oh, now there's a guy with a gun.
Yeah,
You have to share it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Patient privilege.
That's right.
Throw it out the
There
window.
you go. Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing, like.
So you're kind of putting this actually a little bit on Elliott then, in terms of like, it's almost his fault.
Actually, yeah, I am actually. Okay. Because one of the things that occurred to me when he's like, it's okay, let's do it, because, this will humor him.
And then Mr. Robot's even saying, don't do it.
Right,
and he's
exactly.
like, nope.
Yeah, right.
So he's actually pushing this.
Yeah, I mean, because you could say, though, that it's in the character of him trying to save people when, there's no hope of you saving them. Because, he feels something for you. You can just say, oh, well, what are you going to do? That's the therapist. She didn't even like me at that point. She could die. And I think there were other chances, too, where you're like, this is... when he went to that trap at the end of the season, actually. He knew that was a trap, but ended up going anyway because they had Angela, right? Or whoever it was.
Right. Oh, you're talking about, right, with Irving, and then they captured Dom and
Darlene. Right, Darlene. It was Darlene that they had. Yeah, he could have just wrote them off, too. But no, he feels he's got to save them. But anyway, he wanted that information. So, and he struggling for it even at the end. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No. So, as believable as torture is, and this is torture.
It is torture. It is certainly torture.
I think if we did a search, I think we'd find similar situations, actually, where somebody's in a situation where it's like, oh, you tell them the truth, because that's a really old trope.
Sure.
It's like, wait a minute, oh, haha, I'm the criminal, but now I'm showing you something that you haven't seen. I like this.
There's
this
actually there's a lot of comedy sketches that come about from the idea of like, find an excuse for people to tell each other the truth.
Yes.
So same with similar idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you're subverting your own comedy.
Damn it. Anyway, yeah, appreciate the acting involved. I just I was not a big fan of this, and I think it's all mainly just because of Vera. And I didn't want the character in my way, in the way of the plot. And then when he was there, it just felt unreal that he's just sitting there with a gun and people are like, all right, let's have this really meaningful moment while you're standing over us with a gun. I mean, the therapist even tries to get him out of the room. Hey, look, this is a private thing. All right, I'll send my minions out.
Right.
That helps.
Well, and he's like, this is as much as you're going to get. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
And in his defense, Vera's, I could defend him.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
It's like
he's dead.
It's like those guys, those minions were always like, make a little, it's like, that's definitely bad. At least he's like, let's stay on point.
But what's funny is, like, to me, let's imagine that, however many therapy sessions Elliott had before.
Right.
Let's say he had...
Yeah, you think of therapy
20.
all wrong. Because one thing that she was concerned about is, and even doing it then, wasn't like, clearly you've been molested. No.
But
what could have been done? What could have been done? And if he's just going to be like, I don't know what you're talking about, she's not going to be like, no, we're going to keep trying to get this as you get this. There's something that I think is happening, but I'm not going to tell you.
I agree.
Because she's like, can he handle it? And actually, there's reason to believe that he actually couldn't have handled it.
But that's kind of my point, just my extra point on this was just the fact that if they'd had a typical therapy session, I mean, it might have been even a good session, but not and I was molested session. Would that have been enough? I guess it wouldn't have been, right?
No.
So we would have just killed her then and be like, wow, we made a real breakthrough. You know what? You dealt with your mom's death.
Right.
And,
she told him because she was afraid.
I'll see you next week.
That here's the thing. So really, there's no way to talk about the Mr. Robot thing because that's what she thought was going to save her life.
Right.
So she didn't think, wait. I mean, I'm sure if he even said, okay, now that you told me this, or at least, no, if he had said, you know what, tell me the thing to break him, and once it happens, I'll have you do a therapy session with him, that she still probably would have said, okay, here it is, don't kill me. She just would have known that's what the result is.
It's just funny.
Although at one point she's like, you're going to kill us anyway.
Yep.
But, at the time, I think,
it's just funny that if they'd had a productive session that just didn't involve... this moment when you...
But no.
But I don't think it would have been enough.
No, it wouldn't have, because he told him that's what this is what you need to find out.
Are we good?
You need to find out.
No? All right, another session. I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Now, going forward, so Vera's dead, so there's not going to be let's go in business together.
Nope.
We know that in a few hours, Elliott's got to be like top of his game, essentially.
Yep.
Also, how does this affect his relationship with Mr. Robot now?
Right. One, he said that he couldn't protect him anymore.
There's that, and also...
Maybe this is what they were setting us up for, though, with the other personality.
Yeah, so they didn't bring that up in this episode.
Right, but...
Like, where's the other personality?
Right, but maybe... Well, he did say us, I think, a couple of times. Mr. Robot was saying we and us.
So you think maybe perhaps in Mr. Robot's place... this other personality will come in to help him.
That might be. Yeah,
because even if
because then one thing
physical reminder.
One thing you're getting is the reason why. Because I don't think we have any reason to wonder why he would do that. What is it?
Sorry, you're talking Mr. Robot?
No. So we know that Mr. Robot didn't. Tell Darlene a bit of information, and we know that Elliott
he didn't say
tell
that
her
Vera
either.
was coming around.
Right. Yeah. So who was it that kept that from him?
We don't know. It's the third personality.
Right. Well, we assume it's the third personality, right?
That's true. We do make the assumption, but it feels like a pretty good assumption.
Right. I'm just saying we don't know. So that's one of the things that potentially could be revealed is that, and maybe other actions too that have been So this is what has been planned because. Yeah.
Still, because that got dropped episodes ago.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
never been brought back. And I think in our last recap, I thought, well, maybe this Vera thing will lead to the third personality. And I was in that moment, I was like, boy, I'm not really a fan of this, but at least it looks like we're headed to the personality. And I'm like, oh crap, okay, that took a turn.
And that's why I'm rooting for the third personality to be Vera.
That's right. Oh, thank God. Please monologue for me, third personality. Tell me about your baseball bat.
Yes.
But I think even the fact that if Mr. Robot came back, it still was Mr. Robot,
I think it's
still
more
the fact that
likely.
he looks like his dad.
I think it's be more likely that. I
Could he
more
even
likely.
take-
I think it still could be Angela.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that could be. But in other words, taking advice from Mr. Robot in this moment, with the fact that he is some version of
His father.
Elliott's father, and
Right.
he's just realized his father molested him.
Yeah.
I feel like that conversation would be.
It might.
awkward.
Yeah.
Now they'll probably show it because it's dramatic. At some point, Mr. Robot's
Yes,
going to have to be
I
like,
think you're right.
Hey, are we good? I was just protecting you. Whatever,
I mean, yeah, because it's not actually his father. It's just
Right.
It's just
the protection
Yeah.
built in, but it happens to look. Apparently, we assume it looks.
Yeah,
like
but
it's-
all through this, well, one of the things that's been happening this season, besides the narration from Mr. Robot,
Correct.
is points where he's just sort of sitting back and Elliott is sort of spinning out, and doing things, and he's sort of like, I'm seeing how you are now. So he's commenting on.
Perfect job for third personality Vera, if that's the way it works.
Yeah.
He could do all the monologue narrations. He's really good at that. All right. Sorry, Vera. Rest in peace.
Well, you don't like him. It's just the actor that you respect.
Right. So anyway, yes. So we're on to next week.
Yeah.
What other obstacle will jump in their way at this point to keep them off track? We don't know what happened. Darlene and Dom are still, trapped by the Dark Army.
Right.
At this point, Darlene is being used to find Elliott because
Right.
White Rose wants to take Elliott and bring him to himself. I thought actually that's how this was going to resolve itself, was that the Dark Army was going to find Vera and kill him themselves and then
Right.
take Elliott.
Right.
But that did not happen.
No.
So he's probably about to get kidnapped again.
Maybe.
By the Dark Army.
Maybe.
But it would actually lead him to where he needs to be. So, yeah.
Right.
Thanks for taking me. This is easy.
Presumably, what he'll need to do is enact his plan in some way. And
He being White Rose, or
no, I'm sorry, Elliott.
Yeah.
Elliott has to enact his plan because
Yeah, right.
Ed has to
Time
foil
is of
what
the
they're
essence.
doing. Right. So he can't be. I presume he wouldn't be kidnapped before then.
He also needs Darlene to do the plan.
Oh,
'cause
that's
she's,
right.
She's part of with the codes. So
Wow.
yeah. There's a lot that
Good
they have to
luck.
untangle this web
Yes.
in order to get
So
it.
there you go. It's a good thing we had a bottle episode.
Yes, indeed. So anyway,
3 more episodes.
as I said, best episode ever.
Yeah.
It was great. No, this show's really cool, and yeah, I'm glad that he's dead. I'll put it that way.
Oh,
I know. Ouch. I'm a terrible person. But that's just.
you glad that a drug dealer's dead?
Yep. All right. So yeah, we'll be back talking about Mr. Robot. We're gonna be talking about Watchmen and The Mandalorian, and next week is Thanksgiving, so we're gonna have to figure out a way amidst the turkeys to do the recaps.
Yeah.
If you're in, I'm in, sir.
Okay.
All right, we're in. Bye, everybody.